I'm Dr. Pete Economo, the East Coast psychologist.
And I'm Dr. Nikki Rubin, the West Coast psychologist.
And this is When East
Meets West. So, Pete, we made a little oopsie.
Oopsie.
So, hi, we obviously haven't released any episodes in a few weeks because Pete and I are humans and we got too busy and we left everyone hanging. So, hello, Pete, and hello, everyone. We're sorry.
Well, I'm not sorry. I missed you and I missed everybody.
Yeah, same. You're a little sorry.
No, you would be the person. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not,
right.
I don't. Yeah, that's you. Sorry, me. I don't really. Not that I'm not apathetic. I just simply am not sorry.
That's fair. That's what. Pete's right. That's right. That's my stuff. That's my stuff. Right there. Yeah. That's my stuff. So I'm sorry. Though we're back and we are here to do our season 2 finale, and we're going to be talking about resolutions, which obviously everybody always talks about in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. Though it's also relevant to Pete and I thinking about our own professional aims and structure related to this podcast. So maybe we'll start there as kind of a jumping off point. How's that sound to you?
Yeah, I think, because this is something that I think it irks us, you and I.
What does?
Well, the resolution, like
the word.
It's
super irks me.
It's why do we have to wait for a day to do that? Or why do the gyms get busy in January only? Like all this stuff. And so I think that's part as behaviors. That's what we're going to break down a little bit. But I mean, let's just say, so season 2 is fun. I think, we but the oopsie, maybe we can explain that a little bit for our listeners, is that Nikki and I, when December kind of hit, we were swamped. We were both super busy. Nikki was really good and boundaried with some time off, which is wonderful. I also took some time off. And so as a result, that left us with very limited time to record. And so we just said, all right, we're just going to take a hiatus.
Right. And
I guess that's what's a good thing about not getting paid to do this.
Totally. Yeah. No immediate consequences. But we do enjoy the podcast. And of course, we enjoy sharing information with everybody.
Yes.
Though it was information for us, like we need to restructure things a little bit. And so we're going to talk about why we don't like the word resolution more in detail in a moment. But I guess kind of a resolution we have for the podcast and aim for the near future is going forward. We thought for season 3, we're going to have to go down to bi-weekly releases because of our schedules. Now, this isn't forever, potentially, because as we say, nothing is. We don't know the future, as we've said infinite times on this podcast.
Well, and from the Eastern perspective, nothing is forever. I mean, that's impermanence, which we've talked a lot about. And so we started out with a weekly cadence. We're actually, and we started out with a weekly cadence, and we went to a bi-weekly cadence, and then
recording.
Listeners, I'll let you into a little bit of a secret. Sometimes Dr. Rubin and I can record a couple episodes at a time, but not many.
No,
not many. So,
or sometimes in the allotted time we give ourselves, we end up just talking on the phone and chatting about things that are unrelated to this podcast, and then we say, "Oh no, we have a patient scheduled. We got to get our podcast recording going right now."
Well, because Dr. Rubin often schedules it between patients. I don't always, because I feel like I don't have any patients anymore. I do, but in any case, yeah. So that's why. So for listeners, and I think as we approach season 3, we're thinking about this in a healthy way, in a boundaried way, in using information way, whereby we are going to release new episodes beginning in 2022 every other week. What day is it? Wednesday still?
Yeah.
Why did I just forget that?
No, yeah, we release on Wednesdays.
So
who knows? Maybe we'll change that too at some point. Who knows?
Well, somewhere we read an article that said every Wednesday at 2 a.m. So
we did.
Just so you know, that's where that comes from. We're not really sure. And for our producers out there, one day, maybe you'll help us figure out what day and when we're supposed to release.
Yes. Well, and I like what Pete just shared, which is we are making decisions based on information. And I think that's a nice segue into talking about this concept of resolutions, because, I would say the intention behind resolutions is a helpful one, right? It's saying like, I have information that something in my life isn't the way that I want it to be.
Give me an example.
When people say like, I want to, I want to be healthier. I want to exercise more. I want
lose
to,
weight.
or I want to, I want to set better boundaries at work or whatever the thing is. Right. And so there's nothing wrong about that. And in fact, things like the new year, birthdays, anniversaries are opportunities to reflect about making a change and maybe use that as a way to make a change. But in my opinion, the problem with this concept of New Year's resolutions is that they're too rigid, right? It's saying like it has to change on January 1st. And it's like, what I'll say to people is, look, these are just markers in time. I'm like, but like, how you are on December 30th versus January 3rd is not like quantifiably different.
Because
right?
What is time?
Correct. Correct.
Well, that's the whole Eastern, that's the Eastern. It's not really, it's not in Zen, but certainly, well, yeah, it is, but
is it?
Yeah, it's there. Certain koans will talk about the time. I mean, time is a construct that we've created. I mean, that's why we can have daylight.
Not exact. Well, yes and no. I was gonna say we could also go into like what is time from like a quantum physics perspective, which is like time is a thing, but it's not as it's not as rigidly defined as we as
right. It's not like 12:30 December 31st 11:59. Right. It's significantly different from January 1st 12:01 a.m.
Correct. Exactly right. So
well, I'm not smart enough to, and I probably shouldn't even say this, and my frontal lobe just did not hijack me. But like, there's also like there was just a new launch of a new spaceship into outer space, I think from NASA, but with the China, I don't know. But the idea is it's going to be the furthest one to extend beyond our universe. And so that's really where time could get trippy.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is like a whole other episode where we need like a different, but like,
we need a guest. We need
a guest. I mean, because there's atomic clocks, like the time, like there's a clock.
Well, there was something I was reading that was saying like, as it gets there, it's going to take like 28 days just for an image to get back that it's sending.
You got to let it go. You're not.
Thank you.
This is out of our scope, guys. This is out of our scope.
But this is why resolutions don't make sense, because on January 1st, it's not like anything has substantially changed from the day before.
Yes, that's right. Well, and so, I am sure there are people listening saying, well, then am I never supposed to like have intent, like an aim or objective? Like, so what do you say to people that, come in with resolutions, for example,
do it today.
To therapy?
Why?
So
Wait, just leave it there.
No, it just makes me laugh that you're like, of course, Pete's like, just now, just go Nike, for it.
Just Nike, just Nike. Do it.
Yeah, just do it.
It's the Albert Ellis in me, that rational emotive behavioral therapy, where there's a little piece that says like, the emotion doesn't change that behavior. Like if you want to make a change, commit to it. And okay, that's not easy. I'm with you. I get it. None of my suits fit 2 weeks ago. I just had to put, I had to wear a suit. Well, one fit.
Okay.
But it was a little snug, but these days you could be snug. It's like,
that's okay. Mm-hmm.
But I mindfully laugh at myself in that, where I'm like, okay, this is when someone would say, oh, I need to commit to a diet, or I need to commit to going to the tailor. And I'm like, no, like this is going to be a gradual change where I'm now going to just take back some of this. So mindfully, I say to a client when they come in saying, well, I have this resolution, I have a resolution, I say, you're living then for tomorrow. And from an Eastern perspective, that is not guaranteed.
Yes.
And so in this moment, if this is something you want to do, you can do this now. Now you can also wait till January 1st. You can. Sure. What I find is the biggest issue is that it, like you said, it's rigid and it sets us up for failure.
Yes. That's
because there's no context or support around it. So I can't be like, so for me as an academic, I read a lot, but I read a lot for work.
Right.
It's not often that I'm like, oh, great, I have a day off. Let me grab a book for pleasure. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And I've also just grew up in a house that was not very like book oriented. I was very like sport oriented, as one might imagine. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I'm not going to all of a sudden say, you know what, this year I'm going to read a book a month for pleasure, because there's nothing to support that.
Well, and there's, and who knows if that's going to be workable for you 5 months from now, right? Like that, I want to come back to what you said a moment ago. I really like this piece about your, like, if you do that, you're living for tomorrow. That's, I'm going to steal that. I think, yes. Thank you. I'm going to steal that because it's like, it's losing. I think what you're sort of getting at is that the resolution, it impedes our ability to contact our agency in this moment, right? And so like you're saying, you can choose to wait till January 1st. That's okay. Like you might say in this moment, I'm not ready. Okay, no big deal. You don't have to do it in this moment. Though there's nothing magical about January 1st. And it's also something—
Wait, there isn't?
There isn't. Oh, I hate to break it to you. There's nothing
Wait,
magical
but why do
about
I like spend 3 times the amount on my dinner?
Yeah, well, capitalism.
You mean there's nothing magical about?
Yeah, another episode. That's another episode. Yeah, but it's also something external, right? And so like the word that I've already kind of given it away here, I've said it a couple times so far, but the word I really like to use and really connect with personally is setting an intention, which I take from like my mindfulness practice and yoga practice, right? And what I like about intention is that there's direction in it, right? Like there's an aim, though there's none of that harsh edge to it. There's no concreteness. It's like, often when I'll like ask patients like, okay, like what does it elicit for you when you say intention versus resolution? Almost always people will say, yeah, it's softer, or like there's more space around it. I'm like, yeah, because it's just like in mindfulness, right? I'll say like, we don't say I'm committing to staying in the moment. That's not possible. You're not going to do that. No, it's impossible. I'm like, but you set an intention to come back to the moment. So like I anchor back.
Yeah. And I like what you're highlighting there because, sorry to interrupt, but
go
it just reminds me of relational frame theory, which we've touched upon, because I think intention versus resolution, and listeners, just practice yourself with that. Like in your mind, say that word to yourself and notice what happens to your biological responses, because my guess is resolution is more rigid. And it's, what is that, like from Latin, like resolve?
I again, somewhere out of my scope. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, but to resolve,
I like language, I didn't study Latin. I don't know. That's
but like to resolve feels finite.
Yes.
Versus intention is like, it does feel more fluid, where you're like, my intention is this, and that could also change.
Yeah. And I think and there's no there's no failure involved in not being focused on the intention, right? So it's just an anchor point. So again, if I use meditation as analogy for everything. It's like, there's no judgment. It's like you get lost in your thoughts. Like, okay, you're lost in your thoughts. That's what happened. And then you're choosing to come back. That's the intention. And so you're not failing if you're not focusing on the breath. And I think the same goes for any behavior we want to change. It's like that paradox that exists, right? That if we want something to change, we have to radically accept that we're going to make mistakes. We're going to do things that are unworkable. We're going to get off track, and making room for that actually helps create more space to then reroute. And I think that's the thing that we have a hard time understanding as humans. Like, again, resolution is, I say this all the time. It's like, it's linear, right? Like we want just like a clean, neat answer, and there isn't one.
So I have a big question for you.
Yeah. What's the big question?
What are your New Year resolution?
I knew that was coming. I don't even know why. I didn't even know I asked.
That's so predictable.
Yeah, you're
so predictable. Well, are you assessing any intention?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So I don't have any New Year's resolutions. I don't. Do you?
Well, I am committing an intention towards like well-being. So I'll share that. That's different,
but you don't have any. That's what I'm saying. You don't have any resolutions. You're not like my New Year's.
Because hello, we would be hypocrites if we actually had.
No, that's what I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't. I do want to say I in my life have had them. I in the past had them. I just have long ago let go of that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest intention is well-being. So I'll share. Like, I went one of my time off in December when we oopsied was I did a little weekend retreat, which was really nice, and I missed it. And so the foundation of this retreat was in Ayurveda medicine, which is a really historic medicine practice in India, and it just reset me to like commit to well-being. So I've been doing it since then, which was the beginning of December, and. One thing I added as a behavior, which might be too much information, but it's not. They do tongue scraping. Have you ever heard of that?
I have.
Yeah, I had heard of it, but I wasn't sure of it, and I have no idea if it's working. But I will say that in this time where like everyone's getting sick, because we're also recording still during a time when everyone's getting sick, like I've probably felt the best that I've felt in a while. Cool. So it's that, and then they do. A tablespoon of honey with a fresh lemon and hot water in the morning.
Oh,
first thing.
Cool. Nice.
So that's an intention of a new behavior.
Yeah, no. So I like that. So actually, and it's helpful we're using ourselves as examples because I'm going to have a bit of a different one. So I think Pete's example is one that some people could probably try to fit into a resolution if they wanted, right?
Yes.
They would go like, I'm going to do like
this every day,
right?
Yeah.
But so it's more, it is a behavior change. Pete's talking about like an overt, behavior change, though he's framing it as an intention. So there's more space around it. So mine isn't so overt. It's like more covert, that like I have an intention, which is one I've been practicing, I would say 2021, continuing to 2022, which is basically the intention. Well, I guess two of them. One is to keep coming back to my intention to accept that the future is unknown.
Mm-hmm. Love that one.
Yeah, it never gets old.
Never.
Yeah, and then relatedly is to set the intention to ensure my own needs are being met.
Love that. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting you say that because I love, the future's unknown is certainly very Eastern, mm-hmm. Because it's like, I'll have athletes sometimes be like, well, I just don't know about the future. And it's like, good, because nobody does.
Nobody does.
There's actually not a person who does. And a thing that I have found, I was talking to my teacher about this today or yesterday, where mm-hmm. I have finally found peace in suffering. And I think I want
say more about that. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to tie this into both our season 2 finale, mm-hmm. Our resolution, as we then commit to the season 3 for next year. But peace in suffering means that, when you sit and meditate, mm-hmm. there's no rules about how to do that, and that's one thing about Zen. Certainly there are practices of following the breath, using a koan, a mantra, mm-hmm. belly breathing, mm-hmm. guided, unguided. I mean, there's so many different ways that one can meditate.
There's methods. There are
right? methods of meditation. Uh-huh. And the first noble truth is that we all suffer, and then we're trying mm-hmm. to release suffering. And so finding peace in suffering is that there's a real radical acceptance of like, when I sit, sometimes I'm suffering and sometimes I'm not, and mm-hmm. and not fighting for that purity or that lack of suffering or for having angst about the future and the unknown.
Yep.
And that's peace in suffering.
Well, and thank you for sharing that. And I think that what's also important to say, because this reminds me a lot of our freedom, flexibility and freedom episode, which is one of my favorite episodes that we did. Because I think these concepts are aligned. It's that, even when we have moments of feeling peace and suffering, and I certainly have them as well. And I think that like freedom, you'll still go back to not having peace, which I also experience. Yeah. And I always kind of marvel at my own brain that, there'll be times where I'll be like, but I thought I was at peace with it. I thought I've accepted. It's like, well, that's just like saying, I thought I was focused on the present moment. It's like, but you're going to spend more time than not.
You were.
Yeah, you were. And then you fought it again, And so we can't, it's very relevant to obviously what we're talking about today, because we could never have a resolution to say, I'm going to be peaceful. It's like, I have to, it's like, then it's kind of like, I'll say to people sometimes, like, if you're saying to yourself, I'm practicing radical acceptance of pain so that I don't feel pain, you're not practicing radical acceptance anymore.
Pain, right.
Right. Yeah. So I think like that's this piece that is eternally hard for human beings to be with.
Yeah. And I'm dieting because I want to lose weight. I mean, I think because one of the things that we do in third wave CBT is that it's not about outcome, it's about process. And so can I radically accept the process? Mm-hmm. And so I'm never going to commit to dieting or to healthy eating for that outcome. Rather, I do it for an internal well-being, something that's more
it's values connected.
It's values connected. Yeah.
It's about workability. It's the values connected. Yeah. Well, and I think, and it's also important to say, because I can imagine people listening saying, does that mean I'm not allowed to have goals, or I'm not allowed to care about outcomes? And the truth of the matter is, like, of course we care about goals. Of course we care about outcomes. There's no way to not, right? And that's how we move things forward as well. It's just recognizing we don't control that. Right. And so
Well, you know how I feel about that word.
Well, I know you don't, you like management, you don't use it at all. But we definitely don't control the future. Right. But we can have agency, I'll say, over what we do in this moment. So I guess, to really sum up and wrap up season 2 here, right?
By season 2.
I hope, I guess I was looking for something profound to say here. I guess I don't have anything profound to say. I guess I continue to enjoy doing this podcast with Pete and share information with everyone listening. And, Pete and I are setting an intention for 2022 and season 3 to continue to connect with you guys, share accurate, evidence-based psychological information, and also welcome you into exploring some of the Eastern concepts of mindfulness and Buddhism as well. So we'll see you in season 3.
Bye, Nikki.
Bye, Pete. This has been When East Meets West. I'm Dr. Nikki Rubin.
And I'm Dr. Pete Economo. Be present, be brave. This has been When East Meets West. All material is based on opinion and educational training of Drs. Pete Economo and Nikki Rubin.
Content is for informational and educational purposes only.